We're live. Hi, everybody. Hey, I'm Lara. I am so excited about this live workshop. And this is really going to be a workshop, guys. We even have a great worksheet download you can get in the comments right now. It says how to cultivate your calendar. It's a 2-page worksheet. And if you're joining on your mobile device and can't print it out right now, no worries. We're going to send you an email with a link to this afterwards as well, and you can take more notes there. Hi, I'm Lara. Please let me know if you can hear me, see me. And I really want to know about you. Tell me where you're joining from right now. Tell me how life is feeling. Like, how is your schedule feeling lately? How's your time usage feeling? How's that calendar of yours doing? Because that's what we're here to help out today. I'm really excited. You can see me and hear me. Great. I'm so glad. Hi, everybody. Hello, Beth. I was looking at your comment before I went live, and you said you're joining from the cornfields of Iowa, and it sounds like a love song. It sounds like a beautiful love song and a beautiful place to be. Hello, everyone from all over the country. It's so great to have you here. So yeah, some folks are saying they're getting back into the swing of things, meaning getting ready for back to school. Around here, we're talking about getting back to what matters, though. So I'll just go ahead and tell you right off the bat, everything in the Cultivate What Matters shop is 25% off right now. So you'll want to make sure to hop on over there right after this broadcast. Don't miss this broadcast. So just hop over and go shopping. Stay here with me first. I promise there's plenty of good stuff to go around. We do have limited quantities of some things. Hi, everybody. I'm so grateful you're here. Hello, Sabine from Germany. It's so nice to have you here. All right, Chantal, you said you're back from vacation. Not easy getting back into the routine. Totally understand that. Y'all just introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about why you joined today. What intrigues you about having a cultivated calendar, which we will talk so much about. I have lots of great practical tips for you. I'm even going to show you a peek into my calendar and also my to-do list app that I use, my planner I have right here on my desk, my PowerSheets. And really, this is not a webinar or workshop for you to do everything like me. This is for you to do things that work for you. So I hope that the practical tips and things I'm going to share that work and that didn't work for me in the last year will just be a springboard for you. Because I really want you to do everything the way that works best for your particular life and circumstances. And thank you, Jess, from my offices in the comments, as is Jordan. And there is a great Ask a Question box. I had a really good time looking through some of those ahead of the broadcast today and can't wait to answer your questions. So if you have a question along the way, pop it in that Ask a Question box. You're welcome to ask questions in the comments too, but I might catch them easier in that Ask a Question box. And y'all are sharing some really good stuff. All right, so Kimberly, you said, I want my calendar to reflect the things that are important to me. I think you mentioned that on social earlier this week. Yes, we're going to talk about that. You're in the right place. Jen, you said, trying to balance work, children's activities, church, all with grace and joy without feeling like a crazy person. I totally understand that feeling, and you are also in the right place. Kim, you said you're here because you need a refresher and some added encouragement and tips. Yes, I am not an expert on this, but I have learned a lot, and I am excited to learn from you guys too. So if you have tips and tricks along the way, please let me know. But I have learned a lot in the last year. Last August, I was coming out of a challenging season. I had just finished launching my book, Cultivate, which I have here. It's also 25% off today in the shop. But I had just finished the launch of the book. I had just finished really like the ending tale of a difficult season in our lives of having 2 small kids at the same time. And even if you don't have kids, any season of transition or of loss or a job change or a move, how do those feel, guys? Like, how do those kind of shake things up in your calendar and your schedule? Whatever it is, it can tend to make us feel like we have no choice, like we have no room for celebrating meaningful events or really no room for preparing for the things that really matter to us. And that's how I felt. I felt like I have forgotten about birthdays. I have completely forgotten about things that were even like right in front of me on my to-do list. I came up to the last minute with gifts. I threw birthday celebrations together, and it just didn't feel good. And it's really, and not at all, y'all. If you know me, you know this is not about being perfect. It's not about like having perfect celebrations, but it is about meaningful forethought. And that does not take a lot of money. It does not take a lot of time. And it really doesn't even take a lot of effort. And so over the last year, I have created what I call a cultivated calendar. And I created those principles last August, and I've lived them out over this last calendar year in the last 12 months. And I'm really excited to tell you what worked, what didn't, and some tips I have for you today. So thank you guys for introducing yourself. Hello, hello. I'm also going to talk about how to use some tools that you may already have together. And if you don't have these, it's fine too. But PowerSheets, along with your planner, along with maybe a digital calendar you use, we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff. Mostly though, we're going to talk about taking action on the things that last longer than us, taking action on relationships that matter, on meaningful celebrations, life events, all of that, and how to do them really simply. I'm so happy that you're here. Brittany, you said you're so excited to be here. Hope we can touch on leaving room to breathe in there. My type A personality likes everything on there. Yes, I've got some really good insight for you on things that I've done this year. All right, so a little bit about me. I am the CEO of a company here called Cultivate What Matters, and we make tools to help you do just that. We make tools to help women live out their dreams and live out what's important to them, whether that be faith or family or a heart-filled business, whatever it is. That's what we create tools for. Our main tool is the PowerSheets Goal Planner, and I created that 6 years ago for myself because I needed a way to sift through all the things to make sure I'm taking action on the right things. We're sold out of PowerSheets right now, but we will have all of our new products, not just PowerSheets, but many more things coming on. Mark this on your calendar. Here's your first to-do for your calendar. Is to mark down October 24th is the big day. I'm so excited. I got to share some of our new products with some fellow business friends yesterday. And it was really exciting to see their reactions. And P.S., it was all men, and they were excited. So yes, save the date for October 24th. If you're not on our newsletter list, you can hop over to the comments there and just posted a link. That's where you need to be, is to get on the newsletter list. So let's get started. First of all, tell me some challenges you've had with your calendars. Just tell me some challenges. Maybe you feel like you don't have enough time. Maybe you feel like you've not been prepared like me. Maybe you feel like there's just too much to do. Let's just lay a foundation right now. I love it, Lorraine. You said in all caps, overwhelmed. Rosie, yes, things pop up that were unexpected. Anna, combining daily tasks plus the important things. Yes, love that. Staying motivated, Michaela says. Molly, you said forgetting to write stuff down. Totally. You think you can remember it, but our brains can only hold so much. Kirsten, sorry, you said organizing all the things as a creative business owner, mom to a teen, wife, etc. Yes, and a little bit about background on me too is I have 3 kids. I have a wonderful caregiver who's here with them during the day, so don't think that I'm doing all of this at the same time. I have an incredible team that I work alongside, but man, it's a lot of stuff. And I have to make very intentional decisions on where I use my time, and I don't always make the best decisions. But it's not about having a perfect life or a perfect calendar. All that matters is that you are on the right path and you're moving in the right direction, no matter how many mistakes happen along the way. For us here at Cultivate, and I know for you all too, it's about progress, not perfection. Can we just say that out loud? Like wherever you are right now, you might be in the library, in the car, at work, just say progress, not perfection. We get so hung up on instant results and overnight results, right? Maybe you joined today and you want that. You want me to say, here's the prescription for how everything's going to be perfect in your life. I'm not going to give that to you. I'm sure I'm going to give you a few tips that will help you right off the bat. But thank you guys so much for saying that. Progress, not perfection is what we're all about. Jennifer, you said you have been forgetting to add to your to-do list and it's quite overwhelming. Deshaun, hi, you said finding where to schedule the important things. Yeah, these are all really good. The reason I want you to interact with me and the reason we're calling this a workshop is because if you're just sitting there and passively listening, and it's fine if you are, like really no judgment, but you will get more out of this if you are to put things in black and white, leave things in the comments. And somebody asked, yes, there's a handout for today. We'll post that again in the comments so you get that. There we go. Thank you, Jess. There is a handout for today that you can follow along with. And here's a little peek at that. It's how to cultivate your calendar. It just gives you room to write your notes. So if you are not able to access a printer right now, it's fine. You can come back to it. But I want you to interact with me. because the act of just simply writing down your thoughts, whether it's on your worksheet or on a piece of scrap paper right now, or writing them in the comments here, especially if you're joining on mobile, there is something that actually physically happens in our brains. We start to make decisions about the things that we put out there into the world in black and white where we can see them, as opposed to keeping it all up here in our head. Does that work for y'all, to keep it all up here in your head? So my husband is a complete opposite of me. He does not do planners or calendars or any of that stuff, and he misses a lot of things. But I will say that he takes his days one day at a time, and his philosophy is, if it's really that important, I will remember to get to it. And I think I have too many other details to think about, and I just can't do my days like that. So hello. If you're just joining us, I'm Lara. I'm so excited about today. We have a lot to cover, so we're going to dig in. So number one, where are you? What's been challenging you? Be really honest with yourself here. Like for me, it was about having a gut check a year ago, and I still have that gut check often, but having that gut check to say, I have not been prepared, and I have felt guilty about it. And I have felt like there's too high expectations for me to have these perfectly planned things. And so I realized that I have a choice. I don't have to have it all together in order to have meaningful celebrations, and you don't either. There was, like I said, a season in our lives. The way this all came about is there was a season in our lives where it felt like life was carrying me. And I don't know if you guys have seen this. I haven't even seen it, but the ladies in my office told me about it. There's a meme going around that says something to the effect of, okay, July is over. The October is coming. Christmas is here. Happy New Year, everybody. Have you guys seen this? And the thought behind this meme is that we're on this crazy freight train and we have no control over stopping our time and slowing down. And I just don't buy into that. Yes, it's nuts. Okay, you've seen this. I don't buy into that. And here's why. I do believe from practical experience and from being someone that has a lot going on in my life, just like you guys do, that it is possible to be present here today and have forethought about what's ahead. You can be present and prepared at the same time. Perfection does not mix in that mix, though, I will tell you. Sometimes you have to choose one over the other, but it is possible to be present and prepared, and I'm going to show you how today. So let's get working on this. If you have your worksheet, feel free to write some notes. My question for you to start is, what's important to you in the big picture? I'd love to hear in the comments from you. What's important to you in the big picture? What's important? What are the things that you are hopefully going to look back on in your life and say, that is something I'm so grateful that I spent time on? Because time is like a currency. We can either invest it in things that are going to last or invest it in fleeting things. And that investment's not really going to make anything in the end. I love your answers. I love our community so much. What's important to you, you're saying, is relationships. Samantha, you said raising the best little boys possible. I love your specificity in that. That's awesome. And I feel your passion in that too. Linda, you said to have more faith in God and let my grown children. Family, Larissa says raising my kids to be good humans. Molly said staying organized and getting the important stuff done, practical and spiritual. I'm seeing a lot of people posting about relationships. So the thing that I hear from asking this question of thousands of women over the last 10 years, as far as what's going to be important to you in the big picture, it really does center around relationships in some form or fashion. It might be that you say, when I'm 80 years old, I want to see myself sitting on in a rocking chair on a front porch. That's typically because that evokes a thought of slowing down and having meaningful conversation with someone. Or maybe it's just slowing down and having a moment to yourself. That's good too. I love these thoughts. So Melissa, you said being able to provide for my family and help my community. I'm not just asking this for asking's sake or just to have conversation. I'm asking because you can't get somewhere unless you define where you want to go. So right now, these words that you're sharing are very important, and you're welcome to share more. What's going to be important to you in the big picture? The fact of you or the act of you defining that helps you to start, again, to make decisions about that. And the arrows of your decisions start to point in that new direction. And it's just like the saying goes, nothing managed or nothing measured, nothing managed. I think that's what it is. And what that means is that if you don't have an end point on a map, to use another parallel to this, then how are you going to know how to get there? You can't just say, if you're wanting to go to your parents' house, or say I want to go to my parents' house, they live in Florida. I can't just say, okay, I'm going to go to my parents' house. I'm going to point my car in the direction of Florida. No, I have to have a specific address. Florida is a big state, y'all know, right? So the more specific you can be about what's important to you in the big picture, that's where we start to see the magic and the power of cultivating what matters right now. Because you start to connect that big picture to, what am I going to do about it today? How are my actions reflecting that today? So I love what you're sharing. Now, as it relates to that, if someone were to look at your calendar right now, what would they say is important to you? What do you think? If someone was to look at your calendar right now, what would they say is important to you? And I know that there's some things that are not just about what you see on the surface, but if you really just are honest about this, what do you think is most important to you? I love you guys. Thank you so much for this honesty. And there's no wrong answers. You can have a good answer, a challenging answer, whatever. All we're doing right now is building a foundation. There's no need for judgment or anything here. So good. Driving my kids places, Amy says. I'm giggling, but I totally know what you mean. Working out in Bible study. Earlier, someone said, Inkle, you said work. Several people have said work. And I even I feel you in saying that. That's something that you may want to shift a little bit. Homeschooling. Ara, you said probably sleep. India, you said responding to texts and emails. Karen said claiming our house, but seems to be taken away from homeschooling, Doctor's appointments. Oh, so many things. And again, there's no wrong answers here. We're just trying to get a feel for where's your starting point right now. But if someone were to look at your calendar, what would they say is important to you? Now we're going to look ahead a little bit. What would it look like if your calendar actually reflected what's most important to you? What changes would need to be made? I'd love to hear what changes would need to be made. And they might be very subtle shifts. It might be really big things, like maybe you feel like it's time for a leap of faith into a new career. But it also might mean maybe it's just I need to put my phone down for 5 minutes here, or maybe I need to say no more here. It might be subtle things that actually add up to make an enormous difference. Rosie, you said slowing down. Ari, you said applying for jobs. Linda said focus. Y'all, this is so good. Sherry, you said, I agree with Lori. My calendar reflects my work. Maddie, you said simply being overwhelmed is consuming my calendar. I have to have a side note here too, that I think that there are many instances where maybe your calendar does reflect that you spend the majority of your time on work. And I have to say that that's not necessarily a bad thing either, because the heart of that might be that you are trying your hardest to provide for your family. And in that, there is a very loving why in there. So don't just think that as we're talking about work, that that's always a bad thing. There are always deeper reasons to things. Evangelina, hi, my friend. You said, yikes, my current calendar is filled with great webinars, but I need to focus on acting on what I learned from these webinars. That is so good, so wise. Carrie, you said, I feel like I'm doing a lot of good things, but when I think back, I can't always remember specifics. Anyone else? I think we can identify with that too. So good, guys. Kimberly, you said, and something that would change is for you to schedule me time into the calendar along rather than letting it fall where it will. All right, you hit on something really good, Kimberly, and that's something that I'm just going to go ahead and give you a tip right off the bat here. We're not even to that part of the webinar, but I got to tell you, something that I did ahead of time, starting last August, is I sat for, and this is going to sound like a lot of time, and I recognize it is, I had to make some sacrifices to be able to block out this time. I took about 45 minutes, and I think it was even like after the kids went to bed one night, and I looked ahead at my current year calendar, at 2018 calendar, and I thought to myself, how can I cultivate this calendar so that I can be my very best for the people around me? What changes or what hard decisions do I have to make to go ahead and, like you said, intentionally put time on the calendar for things that you know are going to fuel you so that you can love other people well before your calendar gets filled up? Does anybody feel like they struggle with that, where you feel like the calendar just kind of gets away from you. And I know that that can happen. And yes, there are times when we don't have control over the calendar in many ways, but we do have control more so when we're looking at the long range and having forethought. So if you're someone that has a 9-to-5 job or you have working hours, you probably have, and I'm guessing, a few vacation days in there. And I don't know what your circumstance is, but I would encourage you to look at those time blocks ahead of time and say, you know what, I might be afraid to take these vacation days, or like my boss, doesn't like it when we take vacation days, but they're yours. You should take them. And I tell that to my team members too. We put these here so that you can use them. So it's just one little side encouragement. Okay, Ara, you said, I know so much about goal setting, but I don't put myself to task, which I need to do. My calendar gets away from me because I have trouble making myself follow through with my plans. All right, guys, we're going to get into the nitty gritty because I think that that is something that we all can share. Yes, Sarah says, yes, Ara. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. It's beautiful. Okay, so number one is to look at the big picture and define for yourself very, very clearly, as much as you can, what's really important to you in the big picture. Because again, if you don't have, the drop pins on a map, if you don't have an exact location for where you're going, you might kind of veer around like this to get there. But if you're very clear on what's important to you, you can start to make decisions about that today. All right. So number one, have a very clear definition of what's important to you. And I'm going to give you a side note on this one too. You can also write out what's not important to you. Can we talk about that for a minute? What's not important to you in the big picture? Anyone? What's not important to you? If you look at maybe where you want to be when you're 80, or in the really big picture of where all these things that you're working so hard on right now, you hope that they will add up to, what's not going to be important to you then? Social media, Gracie says. I love that. TV, Summer said, that's a good word about what's not important. I'm glad that encourages you, because I'm preaching to myself here too. These are things that, for many of you that have done my workshops or live classes before, you know that I am honestly always asking these questions because it's so easy to forget. It's so easy to forget, and we have to constantly come back and cultivate the soil of our lives, cultivate our calendars. It's a continual process. And it's just like the parallel that we have here, which is you don't just plant a garden once and then never have to do anything about it. You're coming back to it season after season after season to nourish that soil. It's the same thing with our schedules. So if you're sitting here feeling like, oh, I've answered this before and I feel like I've fallen short, I feel guilty, do not let the guilt stop you from experiencing God's grace in this. And that's, I could go on a whole other story with that, but don't let the guilt stop you from moving forward. I love the answers here. Summer, you said baking. Ari, you said TV, movies, video games. Jennifer, a clean house. Yes. How many people feel like there's that, for lack of a better word, like this compulsion that we have for a clean house? There's nothing wrong with a clean house. I wrote about this in Cultivate too. It's really about the heart behind which you do anything in your life. Caitlin, hi, you said, I do struggle with my calendar, but I pray over my planner and my to-do list. I ask God to make clear what is a priority and what he wants me to complete first. I ask for grace in letting things go for the day. Most things can always be done another day. That, I have chills. That is really good encouragement. Thank you, Caitlin, for sharing that. Hi, everybody. If you're just joining, you have not missed anything. There will be a replay of this too. We've got a great worksheet that we're going through that we'll post in the comments again real quick. But we are on point number one, which is the first step in having a cultivated calendar and really simplifying your time and making sure that you're spending the currency of your time on the things that really matter to you and the things that really add up. The first thing is to know what the big picture looks like to you. So what's important to you in the big picture, and then what's not important to you in the big picture. Prayer is important to you for sure. You said, Kara, that's great. And there's that worksheet again in the comments if you need that. Okay, Evangelina, you said, I have been a PowerSheets user for 3+ years, and you're an MTH alum. I love you, my friend. But I would never follow being social media free. But I am just now finishing up a month, and there has been a lot of progress in that month. Some of it is huge and other is tiny. That's an amazing insight. So Evangelina, I've known her for a long time, and what she shared is that it's difficult to be social media free. And really the enemy here, if social media is one of the things you've identified as something that may not be that important to you in the big picture, social media is not necessarily the enemy. It might be a tool that you can use really well and positively to connect with other people. It can be a really positive tool when used well, but when it tends to veer into the comparison realm too much, or you start to feel like it's a distraction from the rest of your life, that's when it gets off kilter. So there's a fine line and a good balance in there. So Evangelina, I'm really proud of you for taking time off and allowing that to inform your life. That's great. Point number 2 here on the worksheet is a very practical step is start to list out when you think about that big picture and what matters to you in the big picture and what doesn't. And then you think about today, what life celebrations or holidays or meaningful events in the cadence of the seasons through a calendar are important to you. And you got to give yourself a little gut check on this one, because there might be things that you think are important, but when it really comes down to it, they may not be that important. I'm gonna give you an example. So there might be like a traditional holiday. Maybe it's like, and y'all, hear me out on this, is to take this with a grain of salt, okay? Maybe it's like Easter, or maybe it's Christmas that you feel like you've put too much pressure on yourself with, and maybe there's an opportunity for you to simplify that. Or maybe there's like and this is where we start to get into the difficulty of saying no to some things. Maybe there's a friend's birthday that you've celebrated for years and years, but that relationship has kind of fizzled a little bit. Maybe it's time to let go a little bit and allow yourself permission to use your energy and time on another relationship that is growing. Again, take those with a grain of salt, but I'm sharing this to give you permission to examine the things on your calendar, examine where you're spending your time, and make sure it's pointing you in the direction of where you want to be when you're 80 years old. So number 2 here is list celebrations that are important to you. So when I sat down to do this last August, and I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments, what are some milestones or holidays? Maybe it's birthdays, maybe it's like religious holidays, secular holidays, whatever it is. Which ones are most important to you? Make yourself a big list of those. And this is where we get very tactical, practical. Start to rank them in priority order. So for me, and I'm going to show you actually on my calendar. For me, I'm going to show you a little bit of a screenshot here. It might be backwards on your screen. I use an app called Things, and it's very similar to the Reminders app. So there's a lot of them out there, but I've been using this for like 10 years and I love it. And it allows me to set up recurring reminders for things. So for example, I have, and I'll tell you more about this in a minute, I have my October prep. Hold on, I'm gonna make sure you guys can see that. Oh, sort of. Come on, camera. This is live. There you go. October prep. So we're going to talk about preparation days in a minute and how to make those really simple and easy. But one thing you can see listed here, the holidays that are important to me and my family, one of them is Sukkot, which is a Jewish holiday that we celebrate in my house. And I have the dates listed here because the dates change every year. So I know forethought that I have to have that listed here. And this little reminder helps me to make sure I'm preparing for that and do something about it. And I identified that as one of my top holidays on my list that I really want to integrate into the culture of our family and really do something special with. So I love the answers here, guys. And these are so good. There's no wrong answers, and your answers might inspire somebody else. So we have Christmas, anniversary, baby's due dates, parents' anniversary. Let's see here, Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving too. That's definitely one of the ones on the top of my list. Birthdays, Christmas, Easter. And I would encourage you all to get very specific. So what birthdays specifically for you? And give yourself room to rank these in order. So when I say rank them, it doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily cut them off your list if you don't want them there. You could do that. But it's really ranking them in order of how much time am I going to spend on these things? And you can kind of put them into classes. So number 1 on the worksheet is to define your big picture. Number 2 is to list celebrations that are important to you and then start to mark out which ones are most important. When I did this, I did identify a few things that we kept coming up to in the calendar that I wanted to celebrate, but when I really looked at like all the birthdays that were happening in that particular month or all the things that I was already committed to, I knew that I was not really going to have enough time to do that well. And so it was so freeing to just cut it off my list. So yeah, do whatever works for you. Now I'm going to skip back a little bit. At the very top of the worksheet, if you're following the worksheet, you can use the box at the top to fill in some notes here. You can use scrap paper too, whatever works best for you. But let's first define what exactly is a cultivated calendar. You're getting a little bit of a taste now that I've shown you some of the practical things that we're about to move into. But what is a cultivated calendar? A cultivated calendar is a prepared calendar. It is under the concept that a little intentional forethought goes a long way. And this includes practical things, again, we're going to talk about more in detail in a second, like preparation days once a month or whatever rhythm is best for you, taking about 30 to 45 minutes in whatever season is best. Usually it's in the second part of the year to look ahead at the following year and map out where you're going to spend intentional time on things to the best of your ability. So for instance, it might be every year you have a family vacation on one specific weekend. If you already know that ahead of time, you can go ahead and start to make plans for that ahead of time. Or if you know that it's your year to host Thanksgiving in 2019, you might go ahead and start to put some balls in motion for that. Or like we talked about, maybe you have, if you're working, you might have an allotted number of vacation days. You might start to plan those out. Or for me, something that I've done in my cultivated calendar this year that definitely worked was taking what I call quarterly Sabbath days. And for me, that really, it's essentially a day off, but I reframed it and called it a day on. So taking intentional days on where I have set for myself, not just a day to do nothing, because for me personally, that doesn't really fuel me, but a day to do something that really fuels me. That might be, we just did one actually, where my husband and I had our very first night away from the kids, besides a marriage retreat we went to a while ago. And we just went here locally to a bed and breakfast for one night and came back the next morning. But just having that blocked off on the calendar ahead of time was so refreshing when we came up to it, because if we were to plan that now, we would have never had enough time for it. The calendar just fills right up, right? So you have to plot those things out. A cultivated calendar is a prepared calendar. A cultivated calendar is reflective of the things that matter most to you in the big picture. And here's the kicker. A cultivated calendar is also flexible. It's not supposed to be some rigid thing where you've like planned and plotted everything. A cultivated calendar allows you freedom and flexibility, and we're going to talk more about that. So, number 2, list the celebrations that are important to you. Number 3, I love this part, is to add preparation days and do them. So this is where I'm going to tell you a couple of things that didn't work for me in having a cultivated calendar. Here are some questions you can ask yourself in order to create what I call preparation days, which might be once a month for you, could be once a week, whatever works best. For me, once a month seems to have worked best, where I take some time, maybe on a Sunday afternoon for like 30 or 40 minutes while the kids are sleeping, and I buy all the birthday gifts I need to buy for the month. I think about, what am I going to do for this person's anniversary? Am I going to send them a gift? Or is this someone that I'm just going to send a really nice text message to? I mean, you get to choose whatever level of time involvement you're going to do. I also look ahead at what things are coming up on the kids' calendar and my calendar. How can I best balance those things out? Do I need to get a babysitter for this date night or whatever it is? So taking that like 30 to 45 minutes has given me so much time back. How much time, question for you all, how much time do you feel like you end up spending when you are not prepared for something? So how much time does it end up taking you, or maybe money does it cost you when you're buying a last minute gift or trying to throw together a celebration for something, or you feel like you haven't like planned a day off at all and then it just gets awkward? Victoria, you said so much time. Okay, this is hitting a little bit of a nerve here, guys, right? So Chantal, you said how much time? I'm scared to think about it. So this is the reason I'm asking is, I mean, y'all know, the reason I'm asking is because the value of taking that chunk of preparation time for a preparation day could feasibly give you, and when I calculated it for myself, it gave me 6 hours back a month. 6 hours. That's like almost a half of a day. It is half of a day. 6 hours. So when you think about that, is it worth it for you to intentionally look ahead to block off these preparation days? I'm really asking, is it worth it for you? It may not be. Maybe you're in a different situation. You feel like I got this, and that's cool too. I want to learn from you. But is it worth it? Yes. The answer is yes for most of us. It is so worth it to take that time ahead of time. Now, some of you might also be thinking, okay, where do I find that time? Where do I find that time? This is really about stopping a cycle. So we've got to stop the cycle of procrastination. Preaching to myself here too, because that was me before. I had to stop the cycle of procrastination, stop the crazy train of feeling like my life was just taking off with me. And I had to just do it once. Just do it once. You don't have to commit to this for the rest of your life. Just try one preparation day for the month of September coming up. And I would encourage you right now, guys, this is a workshop. It's not just a listening shop. So maybe open up your planner right now, open up your calendar. I use 2 calendars. I use a digital calendar. I use iCal for work because it syncs with everybody else. And then for our family, we use Emily Lay's Simplified Planner, which I love. We've used that for the past 6 years. And this stays, the physical planner stays in our kitchen, and we have laundry, to-do list, cleaning things that are on this, yet my work things or family planning stuff is going to go on my digital calendar because it's shared with my husband and my team. So all of these tools, you can go ahead right now and block out your preparation day. So I would just say block out 30 minutes. Maybe it's this coming weekend. Y'all do it. And if you do it right now, please let me know in the comments because I want to ring some cowbells for you. What does my simplified planner cover? It's this guy right here. How do you make sure that both your digital and physical stay in sync? They're totally different subjects in them. So I don't have the same things in each one. I might have big picture things that are synced, like birthdays or things like that. But my work schedule stays in iCal along with big picture things, and then our day-to-day schedule stays in the planner. And the day-to-day schedule gets made up once a week. It's not a thing we look ahead at too much. Okay, so did you do it? Did you go into your calendar right now or your planner or whatever it is and mark off a preparation time? Whatever it is, let me know. Renee, done. I love it. Jordan's handing me cowbells. Feel free to come and ring some with me, Jordan. Woo! I am so proud of you guys. Y'all, tell me how that feels. Tell me how it feels. Does it feel good? Because it does feel good. When I first sat down and blew up my iCal, putting these preparation days on the calendar, it felt so good because I just knew that, okay, I've marked the time off ahead of time, and I know I'm not going to forget that person's birthday again. I'm not going to feel like that friend who sends a really expensive last-minute gift, and then I'm like, oh, why didn't I just think about this 5 days ago? I saved myself time, I saved myself money, and it's so simple, guys. This is not rocket science, but we have to be our own best advocate and think ahead of time. I'm so proud of you guys. Y'all, I just want to hug you. It's awesome. Diana, you said September 8th for my husband's birthday on the 16th. Yes. So good. Caitlin, that is a very good question. Are cowbells available in the Cultivate shop? They should be. They're really cute. We bought these on Amazon. So if you need a cowbell to celebrate your own progress in your life, I encourage you, get yourself them on Amazon. We bought a 12-pack. Maybe we can post that in the comments too, just for fun. And then we just tie some cute ribbons. So there you go. There you go. That's a great example about how celebrating life does not have to take a lot of money or effort. Okay. I love this practical tip from Summer. You said grab a friend and once a month watch each other's kiddos and do prep. Yes, I have so many friends that do that. Actually, they do a swap, or they might come together, let all the kids hang out in a room. And if you're like me, this is what happens. You just accept the fact that they're going to destroy it and get Legos everywhere, but y'all know that they're taken care of. You close the door, you sit inside there with them, and you try to do your prep work together. Thank you, Jess. She found our cowbells. That is so awesome. And thank you, Caitlin, for those awesome emojis in there. You guys are fun. You're fun. I just want you to know, in case anybody tells you otherwise, you're fun. All right, so preparation days. I have more tips for you on here. So the first question is, when you sit down to do your preparation day, here are some things you can ask yourself. Write these down. Number one, what is the event or need exactly? So you might have something on your calendar coming up for the month ahead that says Jan and Joseph's anniversary. Okay, so you know what the event is, but what's the need exactly? So maybe it's someone that you feel like you want to send a card to. So you might on your preparation day define, okay, Jan and Stan's anniversary is coming up on the 18th. I need to get them a card. There you go. And you start to build your shopping list, and it gets very practical from there. It might be more elaborate than that though too. So we actually, and I'm going to be that mom. I'm going to be that mom and show you a picture. We just celebrated Josh's third birthday. His actual birthday is not until next Monday, but we just celebrated his third birthday. And I use these techniques, guys. I feel like I'm geeking out over this. I use these same questions to be able to plan this far in advance, and I'm so glad I did. We had a little birthday party at a local farm, and I just have to show you this. This is Josh with a chicken on his arm, having the time of his life. And y'all, it was so much fun. Having this forethought allowed me to find this cute little farm that cost like almost nothing. It was an organic working farm. The kids got to, here's another friend, this is the best, with a chicken on his arm. It allowed us to find a place that was inexpensive, a place where all the kids could have a blast. And it allowed me to also have the forethought to like cut up fruit ahead of time and make it really simple. And it was just so awesome. Yeah, they were cute. Sorry, guys, I totally feel like that mom. This is my son leading a horse around by himself. So here's the fruit of what a cultivated calendar can do for you. So number one is, what is the event or need exactly? Number two is, and this is a really important question. Number two is, what would help others to most feel loved or to learn or to grow? And I'll repeat the question, okay? What would help others most to feel loved and to focus on what matters? The reason why this to me is the golden question is because this takes the perfection out of it. So many times we have these unrealistic ideas, potentially. I know I have in the past, of this friend is really valuable to me, which means I need to do something extravagant for them. And usually that equates with dollar signs with that. But if I have a little bit more time and a little bit more time to just let that thought marinate on what would make them feel most loved and truly celebrated, it does allow me to spend a whole lot less time and money on it and make a greater impact on that person's life. So for instance, I have a lot of friends that their love language is physical cards in the mail and having a really nice handwritten note. And is it easier for me to just click a button online and order a gift for them? Sure. But is it more impactful for me to stop and maybe make a card for them or do something with the kids to make a card? Yes, and it goes a long way. So the question again is, what would help others or that person or couple, whatever it is, to feel most loved or to learn or to grow or to enjoy or to focus on what matters? Another side of this is I realized that most of the time, family members and friends appreciated experiences rather than gifts. And yes, there are lots of people that their love language is physical gifts. And Deshaun, I love your question here. It's safe to ask them. I think what you're talking about is asking friends what they would feel most celebrated with. And yes, something we actually do here in our office is we have a list in our project management system of ways that we feel most celebrated, or our favorite candies, or what our love languages are. And that's just such a neat thing to do. Maybe you're preparing for a special milestone ahead, and you might start asking someone a few months in advance, hey, let's talk about, like, what's your love language? I'd just love to know. And they don't know that you're really trying to find them the best gift ever. But Deshaun, okay, great. I'm so glad that's what you're asking. But this idea of a little intentional forethought going a long way is not just about us. It is more so about how we're going to love other people. Question number 3 is very practical. What is needed to prepare for this event or milestone? What would it take from start to finish? So what is needed to prepare for this event or milestone? The second part is really important. What's it going to take from start to finish? So for me, for the birthday party, it's not just booking the place or deciding what we're going to get or what we're going to do for cupcakes or whatever. Start to finish means that I actually need to write out, okay, I'm going to have to make a grocery run for this. I'm going to need to make sure that I have plates and like cups. I'm going to need to make sure all the stuff that I have shoes for the kids to wear to walk through chicken poop, like all the stuff. It goes down to the nitty gritty. So Jess, thank you so much. She is posting a recap of the questions here in the comments. What is needed to prepare for this event or milestone? What is it going to take from start to finish? It's just like laundry, guys. Don't we sometimes like finish the load of laundry, meaning we finish it by it's dry in the dryer, but is it really done until we put it all away? I tend to fall in that camp and I say, yes, honey, the laundry's done on the weekend, and it's not. Did you put any of it away? No, I did not. All right, question number 4. Actually, not a question. It's just a list. List the materials and or actions that are needed. List the materials and or actions that are needed. So very practical. We've got what is the event or need exactly? What is the event and what is the need? Number 2, what would help others feel most loved? Number 3, what is needed to prepare for this event? What would it take from start to finish? So very practical, like what are the action steps? And then what are the materials? What do you have to buy? Maybe what do you have to prepare? What do you have to gather that you might already have from your house? Do you all do this too? I feel like there are actually many times when I already have something I can gift someone in the house. I already have materials to make a card, but because I time crunch, I may not have in my mind enough time to actually go hunt for that thing. I'm like walking out the door. I'm like, oh, we have kids' birthday party. I totally forgot a gift. Let's go on the way, instead of, oh yeah, I already bought some things, or I have cards in the other room, or we have 2 of that thing. We can re-gift this one. So an intentionally cultivated calendar, no, it's not about perfection. You get me now. It really is about that little bit of wiggle room time allows your brain to start to solve problems, right? It's the same thing with PowerSheets. Like a little intentional forethought goes so far in allowing you to prepare to take action on the things that really matter. All right, moving on. Next up, oh, here we go. Another practical step here, number 5. I think we're at number 5, right? Is add those prep steps to your calendar. All right, here's where I made a mistake last time. Something that did not work for me. It may work for you though, is I added these prep days and notes about all the things that were needed in my iCal, in my digital calendar. And I realized that there were days where I would say, oh, today's prep day. And then I would completely forget about it because it wasn't on my to-do list. So for me, I've now moved all of those details to my to-do list instead of having those like tucked away in my calendar where I might miss them. So I still have marked off the time on my calendar to do the preparation day stuff, but sometimes I don't get to all of it and then I forget about it. So having for me on my Things app, which is, I think somebody asked again about what that was. It's called Things. It's made by a company called Cultured Code. It's very similar to Reminders though, which I think comes free on most people's phones. So really any to-do list app that allows you to set up a recurring reminder or something that can pop up later on, or a repeated reminder. And I have these things set to repeat every year. So I can change them over time. But I know that every year I'm not going to forget my neighbor Linda's birthday. I'm always going to have cut flowers for her on her birthday. And that makes me feel so grateful, and her grateful too. Is it really worth $9.99 for things? 100%. And I'm saying that from someone that's used it for 10 years. I think I actually paid $45 for it. So it is paid off in spades, but there might be alternatives. I will say that too. I don't know what the cost is for the Reminders app, and y'all might have better suggestions there too. But for me, I love it. It syncs between my laptop too, and I think other apps do that as well. All right, so add those prep days to your calendar, and a tip for you is batch those together. So don't just do like 3 months in advance, do a whole year. Like do the whole calendar year, because you know that there are going to be some things that are always going to be there for the most part. Okay, good. Thank you guys for putting some more to-do list apps in the comments. That's great. So batch those things together. It's going to help you with efficiency. And buying several gifts for friends in one fell swoop helps you to get things done quicker. So something I also did this past year, which I had never done before and felt so good to do, was I planned ahead for sale days like Black Friday or Cyber Monday, whatever it was. I knew, and I have some things still that I haven't given people yet that I bought way back then. I knew the types of things that I might want to gift them. I did this for team gifts. I did it for family gifts. And so I was able to save a lot of money, but more than that, I was able to feel prepared and I saved money. So make sure that you've also mapped out in your mind what days might be best to purchase certain things on, and you can kind of do those in bulk. Okay, Betsy said, I'm concerned about using an app, a digital calendar and paper calendar. How do you separate entries? Is there crossover? That's a good question. So just to give you guys a little bit more clarity, the paper planner I use does not have my personal to-dos in it. It has all the things that relate to the kiddos. So that does not have like my work to-dos in it. It only has things like, okay, on Saturday, I need to make sure that we're preparing for this birthday party or whatever it is, or taking the trash out, or I need to water the plants on Tuesday. So there's not much crossover. I hope that helps a little bit. And then my digital calendar is where everything else lives. Most of my stuff is on that digital side. But the paper planner helps us to just go day by day. Maybe I like jot down notes on groceries or whatever it is, and that stays right in the kitchen where we can see it. Very practical for us. All right, here we go. Here's a great tip. This past year, I made what I call holiday boxes. So how many people feel like their holiday stuff is just willy-nilly everywhere? Anybody feel that way? You just feel like, well, Christmas is somewhere mixed in with Thanksgiving decorations, and I don't know, maybe y'all are super organized. But for me, I felt like it was very difficult to find things, and there were like decorations in there that I felt like we really never put out. And so even for things like, for us, we celebrate some of the Jewish holidays too. And so I have a Passover box. I have a Christmas/Hanukkah box. I have a 4th of July box. And these boxes also include, very practical tip for anybody that has kids or grandkids, they include the picture books that go along with those holidays so that those can be special. So like Valentine's Day, we have all the Valentine's Day books that are actually in that box. We only bring them out for that time, then they go right back in. So I organized all of our holiday boxes, and that was really, really helpful. And you guys are awesome. Thanks for helping each other in the comments. So good. So holiday boxes were important for us. And adding the picture books in there too. You can consider having boxes for things that are going to pop up on an annual basis. And then here we go. Very practical. Preparation is everything. So also during a sale period for something, I don't know, I went to the Target dollar spot or something and found boxes of generic birthday cards, anniversary cards, all types of things that really just helped me to stock up and have plenty at hand to use for celebrations. I've also in the past pre-stamped envelopes before, had maybe an address book that's right there with those cards, envelopes ready to go. So not just holiday boxes, but having a box prepared for you to be ready to send a card at a moment's notice, because we know that not everything is going to come with preparation. There will be things that will always pop up, but you're going to be ready for that. Another tip for you is we have extra tin serving containers. So we do like a lot of potlucks for church, or, you know, serving at the teacher's breakfast and bringing food, whatever it is. And so I have extra tins because I feel like I come up to those days and I'm like, I have nothing to cook this in, or so-and-so already has my casserole dish. But I prepare ahead of time so that I can bring a meal to a family or do something with church or whatever it is. I have extra frozen bake-off cookies for when somebody drops by unexpectedly, or we have a friend that comes over late. And then this is a really good one. I have water bottles in the car to give to homeless friends at stoplights. This is something I actually learned from a dear friend of ours, Rhiannon, and she used to do this and just bring them in the car with her all the time. And it just made me feel so prepared. So little things like that can make you feel like you're ready to serve people. You're ready to love people. Okay, number 4. We're moving on in the worksheet. That was a lot on number 3. Okay, let me go to number 4. Where did I do my worksheet? Here we go. How are y'all feeling? Is this helpful? Any aha moments going on? I love that. Yes, Trader Joe's also has adorable cards for $1 each. I bought a lot of Trader Joe's cards. Arnell, great question. You said, what do you guys do when you guys do the holiday boxes? Do you have, oops, sorry, comments are moving so fast. Oh, hey there. Do you have it separate from wrapping paper bows? Yes, I have a box for wrapping paper and all of those things separate as well, because I know I'm going to need to pull from that for various things. That's great. Okay, good. I'm glad this is helpful, guys. All right, number 4 is I love this. Sometimes it seems like a little overwhelming to think of trying a new system, and it was for me, just to think, wow, this whole cultivated calendar thing sounds good. Like I can get behind this. I think this is going to help me, but it sounds like a lot of work. Even though I knew in my head that I was wasting so much time and I was feeling guilty, it can be difficult for us to think about changing, right? Anybody have trouble with change? Anybody have trouble with change? Just me. I have trouble with trying new things. Okay, good. Not just me. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Christy, you said, what's the best system for addresses? My friend Emily Lay has a beautiful address book. I like pen to paper too. I also just put them in my contacts on my phone. So if I'm out anywhere where I don't have access to that, I can just have that there, but I love that too. So number 4 here is to think about the results. This is true for goal setting too. So something that I hear from a lot of people is I just don't feel motivated. Like I know in my head that this is meaningful and like I should, you hear me? I should be motivated about this. We need to throw the shoulds out. Can we just do that right now? Let's just throw the shoulds out. You don't have to do any of this. But if you think about the results, number 4 is think about the results. I want you to imagine right now what could happen if you were to do this cultivated calendar thing and just give it a try. What could happen? What could happen in your calendar, in your time? What potential positive good could happen? Anybody? I love that. I love the emoji of this. I mean, that's how I felt. I just felt like, could I really do this? Like, could I really get some of my time back and feel prepared and feel like I celebrated people well and loved them well, even using like so much, and I use this word in like a secular way, grace in my life, like so much grace in knowing that I don't have to have perfect celebrations for things. Beth, I love what you said. I can spend more time on cultivating things that mean and matter most to me. Imagine it, guys. Just imagine it. What would it feel like? Kristen, you said freedom from mental guilt. Yes. And I'm here on the other side of it now. So I can tell you, yes, I do feel freedom from a lot of that mental guilt. Did I do it all perfectly? No, but the goal wasn't for me to do it perfectly. The goal was just for me to have my arrows pointed more so in the direction of where I want to be when I'm 80 years old. And I've definitely made progress. More brain space, you said, Gracie. Natasha, you said, I would be more productive at what God has called me to do. Drop the mic. I mean, that to me is enough of a reason. That's awesome. Diana, you said, this is a great tip. Walmart has craft paper too. And if you have kids, they can draw or color on it to personalize. I'm totally going to do that. See, I knew I'd learn more from you guys. Number 4, Julia, is think about the results. What could happen if you were to try this? And you don't have to do it all at the start. You don't. Just little by little. First step for you is to just do number 1, which is define your big picture. That's it. And then you move on to the next step, which is to list the celebrations that are important to you, and then to start to rank those in order of which are the ones I want to spend most of my time on. So what could happen? Leanne, you said less forgetting. Ara, you said more productivity. I hold myself back so much. Courtney, you said organize thoughts. Oh, Danae, I love what you said. Able to express genuine love. Like, yo, that is so profound. Able to express genuine love. I've definitely felt that. And I think I've realized through this journey, and I can't wait to do it again this year and next year, and learn more and more alongside you. But I've definitely learned the power of forethought, allowing me to love people better, allowing me to make better decisions that, like I said, aren't attached to having to buy something big or even at all. Like how, if I really stop and think, how would, for example, my friend Gina just had her birthday. How would my friend Gina feel most loved? Like really, how would she feel most loved? And I knew that it would probably be prayer. And for her specifically, it would be prayer. Yes, I could buy her something. Yes, I could send her a card. All those things are still good too. But I knew that she values genuine friendship in that way with prayer. And so that's what I did. And it was wonderful. And I know she loves hearing from the kids too. So that allowed me the forethought to think, this is the way that I know my best friend is going to want to be loved. Karen, I love what you said. I buy Christmas gifts for my family throughout the year and wrap them right away. Y'all, that's a good tip. I put numbers on the packages instead of names so that they do not know who the gift is for. That's really smart. Each year, I pull out all the names into a hat and then draw them out. Therefore, each year the numbers change. That is such a good tip. So, Angela, you said the thing that you would feel if you were to try this is to be more present and not so distracted, thinking about all the other things I need to be doing. Yes. Okay. So I feel like we've got a pretty firm foundation here, guys. So far, you have identified what is important to you in the big picture and some of what's not important to you. You've started to think practically about the holidays or milestones or celebrations that are most important to you. And I have to say that I had some aha moments when I actually sat down and just went week by week in my calendar, and I realized how many people I wanted to celebrate well. It really started to put in perspective, like, is this holiday right here more important than me celebrating these 5 people well in that same time period? It allowed me to say yes and no a little bit easier. So you've done that. You've listed celebrations that are important to you, or at least started to think about those things. You've started to, some of you have already put a preparation day on your calendar. If you haven't already done that, I encourage you to. You have also thought just now about the results. What are the positive things that could happen? I mean, let's just think. What could happen if you were to do this? And then number 5 is a sort of technical tip for you. But number 5 is to employ what I call agile development principles. And if you're someone that's in like computer science or any of those arenas or web development, you've probably heard that terminology before. One of my favorite principles from that is to redirect when something isn't working. So you might get to a late stage. I'll give you the technical example. So for instance, if you're in like a web development project, you get to like a late stage game and late stage in the development, and all of a sudden you realize, wow, this project actually kind of stinks and it's not working. Agile development principles would tell you to scrap it or to just start over or to redirect and try something different. So the same is applied to our lives, is if it's not working for you, try something different. Maybe a paper planner starts to feel like this just isn't working for me. I need to try digital, or vice versa. Maybe you realize that for me, it was having all of those notes in my digital calendar were getting lost and it wasn't working for me. You have permission to change your mind and change course and try something different, which is so wonderful. Don't feel like you're stuck in this. All right, number 6, actually. I think this is a bonus tip. Did we put this on the worksheet? Yes, we did. Okay. Well, I have a bonus tip in it for you. Number 6 is to name your priorities. So name the things that are your priorities. When you think about the year ahead, let's just stop and think about this season. What is the number 1 priority for you in the season ahead? And it could be an event. It could be something you want to cultivate in your life, or a character attribute you want to grow, a single person that you want to celebrate. You can only choose one priority. The real meaning of priority is one thing. So what's the one thing that if you were to cultivate your calendar in this direction just for the rest of this calendar year, you would end this year feeling like, I cultivated what matters. What's the one thing? And I know, Kara, that it's hard to narrow this down, but imagine, just choose one. And I'll give you an example from my own life. It's a kind of a bigger picture example, but for me, if you aren't familiar, if you're new here, I owned, past tense, 2 businesses, Southern Weddings and Cultivate What Matters. And we recently retired Southern Weddings so that we could say a firm yes to the growth and potential we see in helping other women through Cultivate What Matters. And that was very difficult. You can read all about that on my blog. We'll pop a link to that story in the comments. But that was a really difficult no for me to say no to something that was very good. So on a micro level, these things can feel impossible, but just choose one. Just one. You can always do more on other things. It's not to say that we're going to hold you in jail in one little arena, but just choose one. And if you were to cultivate that one thing on your calendar and make some subtle changes, you would end this year feeling like you cultivated what matters. All right, let's see. Kids and family, Larissa says. Ara, you said getting a job or writing a book. All right, I'm going to challenge you, my friend. I'm going to challenge you. That's what I'm here for in this workshop. If you were to just choose one, which one would be more important to you to spend your time on? Gracie, you says it's discipling my kids. Kara, you said, unless I can make it broad, loving others well. That's very good. You can make it broad like that. That's awesome. Sherry, you said making my family feel loved. Jessica, health, spiritual and physical. That's good. You totally get to choose two things within that category. Linda, you said prayer. Okay, good. Ari, you said writing a book. So already we can start to make decisions to focus more of our time in that direction, right? So good. Victoria, you said tears flowing because your comment helped me to hear exactly what God wants me to cultivate for the rest of the year. Praise the Lord. I'm so grateful to hear that. Rona, hello, my friend. You said my spiritual life. Guys, these words are powerful, and I believe that you will take action on these things. I believe that you will put one foot in front of the other, and that these things are so important to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sharing them here live with us, right? Samantha, you said finish the Bible. Awesome. I'm so excited for you. That's awesome. Ingle, you said have a peaceful school year with our daughter, allowing space for frustration and growth. I love your wisdom in that one. So good. And I love Sherry says, I'm with you, Rona. When you share what's important to you or the thing that matters most to you, it allows other people to have permission and have the push to do the same. So thank you guys so much for sharing that. I'm going to give you a little bonus tip on number 6. We're at the end of our time here. Number 6, on name my priorities. I kind of made up a word this time last year, and it's to prioritize. So if you're a believer, if you're having trouble figuring out what needs to go on your calendar, one of our friends on the webinar here said this earlier, it's just to pray. You got to ask God. I mean, that's what I do. Sometimes I look at my calendar and I think, I have no idea which thing to focus on. And when I stop and I prioritize, good things come to light. Yes, I'm a fan of adding pray or praise to the beginning of words and making up my own vocabulary. All right, I hope that those tips were helpful for you. I'm going to give you a couple of things here at the end, and then I want to answer some of your questions to close out. A couple tips on using your planner and your PowerSheets together. So one way that I do this is when I finish, and if you don't know what PowerSheets are, they're our intentional goal planner. We have new ones coming out October 24th, so you can look forward to that. Mark your calendars with that. Definitely something exciting to mark on your calendar. But this is what we call the tending list, and I just marked off progress today on my own August tending list. Something practical that I do to use my planner and my PowerSheets together is when I'm done filling out my tending list for the month, I transfer these things to my calendar. Make sure that there are action steps in multiple places. And that may seem like overcomplicating things, but to me, it's the complete opposite. Because y'all, it is easy to forget what really matters. It is really easy to just let life go on with us and to ride that crazy freight train like we talked about earlier. But if I go ahead and I mark off, for instance, I have Cultivate my calendar for Q3 and Q4. So I've already done that ahead of time. I did that last year, but I need to look at it one more time just to make sure I add a few more details to that and make sure I'm prepared. My action step here was to block off time to do that. So you take what's on your PowerSheets and then you transfer that into action steps. Really simple, but it makes a big difference. The other thing is using our goal setting sticker book, which is 25% off in the shop today. We'll pop a link into the comments about that. No code needed, 25% off the goal setting sticker book. And let me grab one. Hand me one of those, Jordan, goal setting sticker book. It has stickers in it that are very practical and they help you to put things in your calendar or physical calendar. Thank you so much. This is the goal setting sticker book. We made this to integrate your planner and your PowerSheets together. So we use this a lot in our simplified planner. Has, for instance, due date. Can you all see that? I know this camera is kind of funky. Due date, date night, adventure, day off. It even has things like put the phone down. There are so many, 800 stickers in here. I think probably more than that. And it helps you to mark off that says top priority. So these are not just pretty products, they're practical products. I made them for myself because I need these reminders. So make sure that you are integrating those two tools together. And I want to answer some questions now. So here we go. Go hop into these questions. And thank y'all so much. Are y'all having fun here? Is this helpful? I hope so. So the top question with 10 votes is, I think I've kind of done a little bit of this, but this is from Erin. Hi, Erin. You said, I would love to hear ideas and see them via screenshots on your blog about what you and your team's monthly, weekly, and or daily planners look like. I love that. Let me see if I can show you some of what this looks like. Okay, so for instance, these are, I'm going to show you some of the recurring things that I have coming up for September. Y'all are going to laugh at some of these things. Are you ready for this? I'm just going to show you. All right, so I'm just going to show you the bottom part right here. Hold on, I'm going to make sure the camera can zoom in there. So can you read that first one? This is my Things app, the back of my Things app, the things that are going to pop up as reminders in the future. Yep, that first one says Wanda's grapes in September. What does that mean exactly, you might wonder? So my friend Wanda, who I wrote about in the Cultivate book, she has a blueberry patch down the street. She also has grapes, like muscadine, scuppernong grapes. Have y'all ever had those? They're so good. Southern delicacy right there. And I said, Wanda, you have grapes. What's up with the grapes? And she said, well, no one ever comes back in September to pick them. And so I put on my calendar a reminder for September 1st that I'm going to go over to Wanda's house and pick grapes with the kids. I have a reminder here to change our house air filters. Once a quarter, I have that. I have a reminder to spiff up QuickBooks. Sorry, I know you can't see some of this. And then I also have a reminder on September 29th. Sorry, I know this is kind of weird. To move perennials in the yard. Apparently, that's the time that you're supposed to do it. So I have forethought about these things. I know I've got to change my air filters in the house once a quarter. I'm not going to just let that sneak up on me and all of a sudden feel like, man, it's really musty in here. So I love, Kara, you said that you change air filters in your house and your calendar every month. Also, flea treatments for the cats. Yes, very practical. As far as the other things, let's see what I can show you here. We've got the simplified planner. I mean, it's basic stuff. Simplified planner is family things. We've got, it's quite messy here, laundry, dishes, trash out, peeling carrots and chopping celery for soup, stuff like that. That's what's in the day planner. And also things like, yes, Deshaun, you said changing toothbrushes quarterly. I love that. Now, as far as our team goes, I can't really show you all of that, but we use two systems. We use iCal for our scheduling, and we use a system for project management called Asana, which shows our projects on a calendar in there. And so that allows us to see the big picture of what our work looks like. I hope that was helpful for you. There you go. All right, here we go. The second voted question from Allie. Hi, Allie. You said, do you schedule your me or family time first and then fit in all your other obligations? You guys, I'm going to show you something that I hope doesn't blow your mind too much. And I mean blow your mind in a negative way. So I am going to show this to you. I'm going to see if I can screen share. But the answer to your question is that my friend Nicole Yang, who is our former art director, but now is a contractor for us, she made this like a graph of her time. She made this graph of like how many hours she spends on family and me time, how much time she spends on work, like how much time she spends with her kids, her dog, like all this stuff, like anything in there. She made this graph and I was like, whoa, I need to figure that out. There's a great book called, I think it's 168 hours or something. And that's the amount of hours you have in a week. Someone tell me if I'm correct on that. But the idea is we have plenty of time in our week, usually for doing the things that matter most to us. It's just a matter of examining our time and seeing where the waste is happening. So I did this actually several months ago. I made my own graph, and then recently I kind of updated it. I'm going to show you mine, but y'all, you're going to have to take it with a grain of salt here. This is not what my week looks like all the time. This was the average of what my week looks like, okay? All right, here we go. Let me see if I can screen share. Hold on. I don't know if I can do this or not, but we're going to try. Just for you, Allie, and everybody else. How do I screen share on this thing? Hold on one second. Let me close out this question. There, I found it. All right, screen share entire screen. Ready, guys? Here we go. Okay, so, okay, you can see my computer. Here we go. I'm actually like a little afraid to show you this because it's kind of crazy. All right, here we go. You see this? All right, so this right here is the graph of what I figured out my week looks like. I did this in Illustrator, so don't feel like you have to make up some pretty crazy thing for me. This helped me. You can just sketch this out on paper. I mapped out hypothetically how much time I have. Like in the morning, the pink is time I'm with the kids. They wake up at like 5:30. And then I have like this little tiny window for getting dressed. The light orange is time I'm usually in meetings, which includes like all day meetings that I go to for education. The darker orange is like desk work. And then the red is time with Ari. It looks very complex, but guys, this really helped me. This really helped me to figure out, hold on, let me come back to where you guys are. This really, I know, I hope it didn't blow your mind too much. It's oddly satisfying, yes, because it really helped me to, and the reason I did it is because Amber told me, like, you need to just tell us how many hours we can have from you to create content to help our readers and to help you guys to do webinars like this. And so I was able to map out for them month by month for the next 4 months how many hours I'm able to give to those things. I'm so glad that was helpful, guys. Yes. And again, it fluctuates. There are weeks when I'm working far more hours than that, or less hours, or whatever it is. And yes, Michaela, you said, I only do 2 homeschool days a week because Grace goes to a homeschool school on the other 2 days. So we have a great program where she does social studies and science. And so right now, anyway, I think that that'll probably change in the future. But right now, that's what's working for us. Yes. Any other questions? Okay, great. Let me go back to ask a question box. I think I'm done answering that one. I hope I answered that. You asked, do you schedule your me family time first and then fit in all your other obligations? Yeah, the other side answer to that is it goes in tandem. So the me family time is something that I tried my very best at the start of this cultivated calendar process to map out ahead of time. But I also have to have a little bit of give and take there. So it kind of goes together. How do I approach planning an upcoming month? Number one would be family, church obligations, things like that. And then work commitments would fall into there too. And then I really have to make sure that for me that I'm balancing my time out because my days are so packed together. So that might be taking a Friday afternoon off or having those quarterly Sabbaths, like I've said. And when I say days off, I really mean days on, days where I'm intentionally refueling myself to be able to be my best for people. Okay, do I reevaluate weekly? Yes, I do. Daily? Yes, I do. And guys, I'm not perfect at any of this. But again, it's not about being perfect. You don't have to have a perfect graph or a perfect schedule or feel like you've done everything well in your week. The most important thing is that the orientation of your heart is allowing you to make decisions in the direction of the big picture that matters to you. So I juggle things. I balance things all the time. Sometimes things don't work and I get tired or I get exhausted. But I have done intentional preparation to make sure that I have a little bit of a rhythm of rest throughout, not just my days, not just my weeks, but my months and the years too. I hope that helps. Okay, great. Last question. I know we're over time here, but y'all, there's so much good stuff you guys are asking. Last question. I prepared for this question. How do you say no to things when you don't have a legitimate reason not to? And I love that you use legitimate in quotes there because we're going to talk about that. This is from Sarah. You said, I struggle with saying no to good things just because I need rest. I always feel like unless I have a conflict or scheduling reason why I can't do something that's good, that I should do it. But then my calendar gets filled to the max with good things, but not the best things or restful things. Amen to this question. Thank you so much for asking this, Sarah, and for everybody that voted this up. So if you already have a copy of the Cultivate book, you've read this, but I have definitely struggled in this area, and I've got some resources I'm going to recommend for you too. But first, I'm going to read you this. This is page 32 of the Cultivate book. A reminder to myself, I need this all the time. So I'm writing from a place of when I was working 24/7 and really overwhelmed. And this is what I wrote. I wanted to flourish as a friend, a mother, and a wife. Something had to change. But how, here comes your question. How was I supposed to make changes when everything was already in motion? Do y'all feel like you just can't get off that freight train, right? It's like that meme, like July is over. October is coming. Holidays are here. Happy New Year, everybody. Something had to change, but how was I supposed to make changes when everything was already in motion? Here's the answer. It's simple gardening math. Plants need space for roots to grow, and they need adequate nutrients. And if you want them to flourish, you got to give them these things. Untangling our lives can feel more complicated, though. Anybody hear that? Relationships, expectations of others, like you said, deadlines and dates press in on us, and they feel impossible to unravel and unrush. Anyone feeling that way? So how do you do it? How do you know what to say no to when it all feels urgent? How do you simplify? The answer is a powerful fertilizer to nourish the things that truly matter is the word no. We often think of no as a scary word, right? We often think about it as a disconnecting word. Like you said, like someone might be disappointed, or they will think my reason is selfish or not legitimate or whatever it is. We often think of no as a scary and disconnecting word, but it has the power to be the most loving and connecting word you use. It's okay to let go, to not keep up, and to not do it all. It's okay to disappoint people in favor of growing what God has given you to grow. It's okay to say no. We only have so much space, so much energy and nutrients in our lives. And I don't know about you, but I do not thrive in overcrowded space. Whether it's too many dreams planted at once, or too many commitments, too many work projects, too many family commitments, social things, or unresolved conflicts, all those things can take up space. And when we try to do it all, we don't do anything well at all, right? So I hope that just builds a foundation to encourage you, first of all. Practically speaking, there is another great book that I have started reading, haven't finished it yet, called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. And it talks about this compulsion that I have definitely felt of feeling like and I love what you said, Sarah, that my reasons are not legitimate. And you know what, though? When somebody tells me, and I had a mom do this to me recently, when somebody tells me I'm actually just really tired, it is so refreshing. Like, wouldn't you love to hear that from someone? Because you think, man, I feel that way too. And I want to say the truth. So many times we feel like we are doing other people a favor by actually, and y'all take this again with a grain of salt, by really lying. Like many times I will like kind of cover up the fact that I feel like I actually don't want to do this thing because I've had a really difficult week and I just need time to myself and God. But if I were to share that honest reason, it allows other people to do the same. So I hope that encourages you, Sarah. To me, the other practical thing I do is I think about the risk versus the regret when I have something on my plate to say yes or no to. I think about, if I were to say yes to this thing, what might I regret? And in your case, maybe it's like something that somebody wants you to do, but you don't really want to do that thing for various reasons. What might I regret if I were to go through with that thing? Would I be able to be fully present, or to even like be able to give or to love people well in that thing? And if the answer is no, think about the opposite side of it. If you were to say no to that thing, you might risk disappointing someone, but then you might also benefit from refueling yourself. So I hope that helps. It is very difficult to disappoint others, but it's also harder to be in a season where you feel like you've said yes to too much, and to try to climb out of those weeds. Little by little, you can do it. Thank y'all so much. We have gone a bit over time today, and I'm so glad we did, because there was so much goodness to cover. Let me make sure that I didn't miss anything in my notes here. This is live. And if I missed your question, we're always here in our social platforms. You're welcome to hop over to our Instagram, Facebook, all of it. We're here for you. And we also have a great private Facebook group for PowerSheets users where lots of people collaborate and get answers to conundrums like, how do you do scheduling? How do you cultivate your calendar? We're also going to send out an email afterwards, though, where you can get all the resources that we mentioned today, that PDF worksheet. But I have a challenge for you guys. If you would like to win something from our shop, and I'm just going to pick something out of thin here. What would you guys like to win? I don't have PowerSheets to give you, but what would you like to win? I'm going to let you choose. Go to my most recent Instagram post and leave your favorite takeaway from today. I'm going to let you win some things. Sticker book. Okay, great. I am going to let you guys win one of our goal-setting sticker books and copies of Make It Happen and the Cultivate book. If you already have these things, you can bless somebody else with them. But y'all, this goal-setting sticker book, this is where it's at. And if you just want to go ahead and get one, remember that everything in the Cultivate shop is 25% off. There's a button right below. You can go right to the Cultivate shop after this. Joy, write the word. Aren't we really low on stock on those? I think we have like 25 left. So you should go to the shop and get one. Okay, I'm going to give away the goal setting sticker book, a copy of Cultivate, signed copies of Cultivate and Make It Happen, and then whatever else you want from the shop, just one item of your choice. Does that sound like fun? Great. All right, so hop on over to my most recent Instagram post right there, and I would love to hear your favorite takeaway. Tell me your favorite takeaway. That's also going to bless a whole lot of other people for them to be able to hear their favorite takeaway. But there's a practical reason too. When you solidify, because my friend Evangelina said this, and I'm going to make sure we're accountable to it. When you solidify something that was a big aha moment for you, or the one thing you're going to do from this webinar, or your biggest takeaway, it allows you to take action on it. Nothing matters here that we've talked about today until you put one foot in front of the other and you do something about it. And I am so excited for you guys to do something about it. I can't wait for us to check in, Lord willing, next year. And throughout the year too, and just see how your Cultivated calendar is going. Y'all, thank you so much for joining. Happy shopping in the Cultivate shop with our Back to What Matters sale. And I can't wait to hear your favorite takeaway. Bye, friends.